The doctors are assessing Phil just to make sure it's safe for him to surf, and therefore putting that heat at the back of the round, and all of the competitors are quite happy about that. They completely agree. Phil is an Iron Man. I mean, of all people, the last person you expect to get an injury is Phil. He's just been riding his longboard at Georgia. He was surfing with a damaged knee, but he didn't want to give up. He's come all this way. He tore the meniscus in his knee free surfing the day before, but he didn't want to miss his heat. He might jeopardize that injury. It might take him much longer to recover now that he's surfed on it, but he was out there. He gave it everything he had.
And that shows the passion behind these guys. These guys and the girls, they're out here to have fun, to, bond with each other, but they're here to win. They're here to compete. And here goes Steven Sawyer straight up to the nose. Beautiful footwork getting all the way there, tucking into the barrel.
Nice surfing from Steven Sawyer. They're hanging on tight, and he comes out of that tube there, Shannon. Fantastic surfing from the South African. If you're tuning in back home in South Africa, welcome to the World Longboard Championships. Your man, world number 2, Steven Sawyer from Jeffreys Bay, an accomplished longboarder and shortboarder, absolutely firing on all cylinders there. I mean, the footwork to the nose, quick, holds the 5, runs back to the tail. But look at this line he takes, Shannon. So he gets that 5 there, low in the wave there, but just grabbing that rail and staying true to that line, and he comes out of that foam ball. Really difficult to come out of that wave there. Brilliant surfing from the South African, so that's going to really be a nice backup score to go alongside his 8.0. Excellent start from Steven. He has been free surfing relentlessly. He's extremely focused, isn't he?
He's extremely focused. He's here to show the world why he got number 2 in China. And it's been great to see him on fire in the free surfs. A lot of chatter going around, I think, amongst the other competitors. And like you said, he really drew a nice line coming into that barrel, and he's a goofy foot, so he's riding backside. We had that conversation over dinner last night with Rachel Tilley and a couple of other competitors. Just, their preference on barrel riding, front side or backside. And you were saying that your favorite thing to do is barrel ride on your backhand.
Yeah, I like the rail grab, the fact that you just set your line and you kind of stay over the board, and that's something that you don't have to readjust. I mean, it's harder if you have to pump. It's much easier on your front side. But there we just saw Steven Sawyer, he just grabbed the rail and he kept that line. But what was really impressive about that was the way that when he hit the nose, the 5 took him down to the lower part of the wave, and he was only midway back from pedaling from the nose when he grabbed the rail and pulled into that tube. And yes, it wasn't the most open, widest, cleanest tube, but the fact that he hung on in there, I think the judges will recognize the degree of difficulty, the risk, and that's definitely going to be a good backup store for Steven. I don't think it's going to be threatening his 8.0, but certainly it's going to be a good score, maybe in the 7s, maybe in the 6s. We'll have to see. It comes in as a 5, so a little bit lower than I thought. So Steven Sawyer from South Africa, reigning world number 2. He has an 8 and a 5.07, meaning Bajé Brainer from Brazil, living in France. He has a 5.5 and a 2.50. He needs a 7.58 to move into first position. Now, Steven, last year, he just seemed to be the happy-go-lucky, unexpected finalist. But now, you know that he's here to win.
Certainly, yeah. Last year, I've had this conversation with Steven a couple times this week, just, trying to encourage him that the pressure's on him now that he's gotten that result in China before as world number 2. He walked through that event as the underdog. Nobody knew who, people kind of knew a little bit about him, but not too much. And I think with that freedom just allowed him to surf and have fun. And through that, he advanced all the way into the finals and had a phenomenal run in that event. Coming into this, he's got pressure on him, which he didn't have at all in China. So it's interesting to see how that's been affecting him. Just in and out of the water. Of course, he's surfing to the top of his game, but also, he's got a mental edge on it now that I haven't seen before, aside from maybe when he surfed in the J-Bay Open, which, for those of you who don't know, Steven's a well-accomplished longboarder, but a very well-accomplished shortboarder, and last year in South Africa, He won the trials that got him the wild card into the WSL CT event
Incredible.
for the JBA Open, which was just ridiculous.
I mean, I'm not quite sure if that has happened in history before, that we've seen a finalist in a World Longboard event who's also been a winner of a trials event at a CT, and not just a CT, the JBA Open, which is one of the the primary CTs for the beauty and the brilliance of that wave, one of the best rights on the planet. Many people put it at the top of their list as the best point break in the world.
Oh, I've got it at the top of my list, calling that home for the last 5 years. It's definitely, I don't think any surf I have anywhere in the world ever compares to when I'm just at home.
And we were lucky enough in 2001 to have the World Longboard Championships at Jeffreys Bay, not at Super Tubes, but at the Point, which is the more open section, the more longboard friendly part of that long setup there. And Colin McPhillips from California, he won one of his world titles at that event, beating South African Jason Ribbink in the final. So Jason, if you're tuning in, welcome to the World Longboard Championships, and a big shout out to Des Sawyer, the shaper of Stevie's boards. Des, you've made your son a beautiful board. He's flying on that thing. I will admit, though, he has been saying he would have liked a little bit more kick in the nose, and that's something that you don't know until you get here. You want speed, but you want that balance between how fast you need to go and how much you need to slow down when you're on the nose. And a lot of surfers have worked with their shapers before this event to put quite a lot of kick in the tail or the nose to facilitate that slowing down in the pocket to allow those long hang tens. I will admit, I think he's looking great on that board. I just think he's super analytical at the moment because he really wants to surf right on the edge. And what was exciting for me last night was seeing him also surf on his shortboard. He was exchanging rides between short and long, and his shortboarding is just outlandish. I mean, he came careening around this big section with this beautiful vertical re-entry, full spray, caught a few more waves on the shortboard, moved in, paddled back out on the longboard, pulls into a tube backside, comes out, and then big roundhouse cut back, next wave, on the nose, hanging 10. So in the space of 4 waves, I've seen him surf at world-class levels on both a 6.0 and a 9.2.
Such impressive surfing from the young South African boy, and he's got a great right hand. He's got a variety. J-Bay doesn't just have super tubes, which is, of course, one of the best barreling waves in the world, but it's got a really great variety of waves throughout the strip. At about a 2-kilometer strip, there's world-class longboarding and world-class shortboarding available right in front of me. So he's really, had the ability to, he's just had the opportunity to surf phenomenal waves his whole life. And have great coaching from his dad. Hi to Des and Cara, miss you guys, and can't wait to see you in a couple of months when Aaron and I get back out there.
So Shannon, you've made the decision to move to Australia, correct? You've been living in South Africa for 5 years?
Correct.
So, how do you think you're going to make that transition from living at Stephen Sawyer? They're very excited to have the chance to surf at a different wave. China, fantastic event, but when you've done it a number of times in a row, you want the chance to go in a different direction. China's the left at Ryu Bay. Here we have the right, and also this wave is much more serious. The China wave is much more of a velvety, open, cruisy wave. Yes, it has consistency. Yes, it has some power pockets, but we have seen that this wave can deliver some real kind of freight trainy sections, and some of the tube riding that happened earlier in the event was really quite exciting. So it demonstrates that these surfers are real watermen, they're real all-rounders, and they've come here to really fly the flag for that type of longboarding.
Certainly agree with you, and even yesterday I had an interview with Harley Ingleby, who's been on tour for so many years. He's got multiple world titles. He's been at some of those other locations you just mentioned for world championships, and he said straight up that this is the best location that he's ever been to, and he's so excited to be surfing this kind of wave. And yeah, it's just really neat to hear from somebody who has been around for all those years, who hasn't just surfed the China wave, to mention that PNG is the best so far that they've been to.
Yeah, that was a fantastic interview you did with 2-time world champion Harley Ingleby. As you see Stephen Sawyer having a little look at this one. We can see it's early in the morning here, and the expectation was that we'd have the super clean conditions we've had for the previous days, but there is a little.
It was whilst he was falling. He fell, and then as he was falling, he could see the rock. So he actually tried to hold his body in position, and the movement, the current of the power of the ocean, I should say, was so strong that it actually ripped part of his bicep up into his shoulder. So you can actually see the muscle is no longer attached fully to his bicep where it should be. It's actually up near the shoulder. He's walking around. He's got bandages on his head. I don't mean to giggle, but he's in good spirits. He's a tough guy. He's a big boy. So he's had a full night's rest. I know Tony Silvani's been struggling with a bit of stomach bug. He's been on a drip all night. So this place, it's like it's a war zone. So here we go.
There's something happening. There's something special happening here with Cole. I can see it. The poise, the control. He looks lively. He's already got a lot of waves. Yes, he falls on that one, but I'm seeing fireworks from Cole. I'm very surprised at those scores in the sixes. I would have anticipated much more of a separation, much more of a kind of, right, where is this radical nose riding happening? It's happening. Right, let's separate out those scores. They're kind of quite similar. I think that what I was excited about yesterday was starting to see where Kai Salas was in another league with his nose work, and I really want to see that rewarded. I want to see those full hang tens, that real radical, risky pocket work on the nose, really rewarded, bringing things up into the excellent range. As you see, live action schmoo, Jared Neal.
Yep. There he goes. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the nose. Nice 5. Back now. Watch this big carving turn from the Coffs Harbor Surfer, and he goes down, unfortunately. And you know what? It's good because I know our viewers are challenging the judges at home as well. Our opinion, their opinion, it all matters. But at the end of the day, as we see Coconut Corner coming alive there with a bunch of coconuts, there's a beautiful 5 there, cross-stepping his way back to the tail section of his surfboard, and then just coming unstuck, and it's dangerous in there. A lot of coconuts. It happens every single morning, so these guys are now well-versed in managing. Oh, well, there you go. There's the score you were looking for.
So that's interesting. It's almost as if that, so Cole Robin, he's just dropped a 9.0. Okay, that was a bigger wave. It was all rail work primarily, but I think almost the judges are probably thinking, we've seen some excellent surfing earlier there from Cole, and we're going to really kind of like play a bit of catch up here. So that 9.0 goes to Cole Robbins for that last kind of big ride, but the poise, the control, the speed, there's something special happening right now with Cole surfing. But I know Jared, he's always threatening to catch up. You looked at the way Jared was nose riding on that last wave, right under the hook of the wave. He's always surfing in the pocket. Unfortunately, a couple of times Jared has just fallen as he's come round through that figure of 8 roundhouse. You have to be really solid when you hit that foam ball, because sometimes you're kind of running out of speed and you're not hitting it with much speed, but that foam ball will punch you hard. So if you're not prepared to kind of flick back equally hard, it's easy to get knocked off your board. So we're seeing, as the surfers do those cutbacks, you see a variety of approaches. You can see them taking that full high line to come and hit the higher part of the whitewater, or some surfers make that decision to turn back away from the cutback before they even hit the whitewater. I saw a lot of the women doing that very well yesterday, making sure that they just stay slightly ahead of the curl on that open face.
Yeah, definitely. And with these smaller conditions, you can be patient. Yes, there's a lot of consistency in the waves. Obviously, the wave size is not as significant as it's been over the last couple of days, but the wave consistency and quality is just as good. As we see Jared Neal having a look at this one, up and riding the goofy footer from Coffs Harbor, drives off the bottom here, tries to look for that section, and just getting caught behind there. So he'll kick out at what we call now Coconut Corner. And Cole Robbins with a great scoreline, 15.83 with still 18 minutes remaining. He's sitting on that 9.0 as his single highest scoring ride. 6.83 is his second. Jared Neal still in the ball game here with a 6.87. Needs an 8.97, which is very attainable, as you see some of the local fishermen looking for the catch of the day.
So one thing is worth mentioning about Cole there is he didn't have the budget to come here, so he did a GoFundMe. He put it out there to the wider world, and he generated the money to get here. So that's it's paying off. So all the support base, a massive thank you to getting behind your man Cole Robbins and sending him out here to PNG for the World Longboard Championships, sponsored by Kumul. My name's Sam Bleakley. I'm bringing you the live webcast with John Shamuka. We've got a good team here. It's not just us, it's everyone.
Yes, that wave spits on the inside as we see the replay here. Beautiful long 5, and I think this was the 9.
Yeah, look at the size of this turn here. Whoom, big accelerating turn. So a bigger wave, but for me, a red herring in the sense that I saw better nose work on that second wave he got. I felt the second wave was the 9, and then he gets rewarded the 9 on that bigger wave. Yes, it was bigger, it was exciting, he surfed it well, but skill level and degree of difficulty for me
potential. And you know, I looked over to the boys as we watch this replay. We'll talk through it here. This beautiful ride here from Jared Neal. He's looking for a pretty solid score. We're all agreeing that as fun as this wave is and looks, do not underestimate the power and the consequences that come with a reef break, such as this wave here at Tapira, because we've seen that many people end up on that reef with a lot of scrapes, a lot of blood. I saw Phil coming through the keyhole yesterday as I was score line for Cole Robbins, as we see here. Goes straight to the nose.
And check
Beautiful.
this little soul arch there. There we go, a little arch back there. Well, not so much of a soul arch, but just more of a kind of casual posture there. And Cole just really looking extremely comfortable. But Jared Neal, he is a world-class surfer who can get big scores in the dying seconds. So if he gets the opportunity with a bigger set, perhaps, you know, what will really stand out is a little tube ride. Do you think there's going to be many tubes on offer today, Shmoo?
I know there was one across the bay. I was just looking at it right there on that left, but unfortunately we're not situated there. Yeah, there is, but on your backhand today, it needs a little bit more of that size we've seen in the previous days. There was a couple of tube rides out there today, but you know, it's just a little too small. If you're my size, if you're dwarf size like me, yeah, you're loving it. And on your forehand, it's going to be a little bit easier to get in the tube because a tube isn't as round today as it's been over the course of the last few days, where it's been bigger. But I tend to think the ones that are on the corner here, rather than those wide ones, from what I saw this morning, are going to be good scoring potential as this swell continues to drop. The ones that hug the reef here, we saw a couple of really deep ones, you know, smaller to medium-sized waves. As I was watching around him, and well, you know, he lost his board.
And I think Cole there, he's looking for variety. He's already got a 9 and a 6.83. He's already done nose rise 10s. He's already done rail work. He wants something different. So he almost wanted to invent the tube there, but you know, we recognised that there wasn't much scoring potential because it was a bit of a crumbly one. But let's talk about Tatima, the local from Kavieng, another spot to the east. He surfed against Jared Neal in round 2. This could easily be Tatima surfing against Cole, because he nearly got through that heat, didn't he?
Yeah, he was getting some good tube rides as we see Cole. This is where Phil Rasman suffered his wipeout right here and tore some of his bicep off up into his shoulder area. Look at that, and it's not scungy. It's sharp.
I mean, I know Cole's family and his twin brother Brett. You know, you'll be watching and you'll be looking at your brother and your son there, and you'll be going, "Oh my gosh, he's having to walk across the reef. Are there urchins? Is it fire coral?" Well, let me tell you, so far we haven't seen any urchins, and so far I haven't seen any live coral. It's all kind of pretty navigable. It can cut your foot, but look, he got assistance, teamwork. I mean, he's got his lucky stars watching him. See how he's paddling out backwards there, just checking his feet.
I was checking his feet.
I mean, have you found any urchins in there?
I haven't. I did slice my foot open the other day. We went down the coast, or up the coast, I should say, and I just went to go paddle for a wave, and all I did was just scrape the bottom of the reef, and you know, it sliced my couple of my toes open. But I've been very lucky to not suffer some of the injuries that some of our competing surfers have had throughout the course of the event. But he's all right. I mean, you know, when you're in a heat, your adrenaline levels are so high that you don't even really, you do feel it, but you don't, because you just want to get to your board and get back out there. As we see Cole, he's okay. He's back on the pony and getting that Pony Express, because the current actually drags you straight back into the lineup.
So, all to play for here with 5 minutes remaining. So, Jared, he needs that 8.97. If Cole can get a 9, Jared can easily get a 9 as well. So, there's still time for Jared. He just got to stay cool. But Jared had a big blow yesterday. His partner, Tori Gilkison, reigning world longboard champion, she was eliminated from the event. So, he would have had to have dealt with that. You know, that's a heavy blow for Tori. But it doesn't mean she can't win her world title, because there is going to be a second event in Taiwan later in the year to crown a world title from the cumulative points from both events. But that's an emotional drain when your partner gets knocked out and you've got to be there to support them, to comfort them. That would have been hard work for both of them.
Yeah, I saw him just watching the sunset yesterday, and you know, he's obviously going to console his partner, and you know, she tried her best, and that's all you can ever ask your partner or your son or daughter or whoever it is, your good mate, to do is give your best, and she gave it her best. The girls that got through to the quarterfinals were just that much better on the day, and that's how competition works. You know, it's a tough pill to swallow.
It was the two C's, Crystal and Chelsea. They got advanced through that 3-woman heat. As we see, Jared Neal from Coffs Coast on the nose. There's the 5. Will he get the 10? There's the 10. Nice spray coming off that rail. Look, good little section here. It's a medium-sized one, but he's going to get that big sweeping roundhouse coming high in the wave there. Is there going to be space for one more turn? He knows he wants to fit in one more little re-entry there. Is he going to kick out here on that dry section? He is, as we see in the background. Cole Robbins flying through this. The speed that Cole is surfing looks slightly faster than a lot of other surfers I've seen lately.
I think he's just attacking the wave more, and his board is allowing him to do that with that speed. He looks really good, confident, and aggressive, and I think his scoreline reflects that. So Cole's really looking just a touch more sparky than Jared at the moment, even though Jared's still got those 2 6s. And that wave right there for Jared was a really good one. Got the 10 in there, so the judges should like that. That might even replace the 6.87. I'm calling. It won't go into the excellent range, but it's getting better.
I think you're right there, Shmi. I think it's going to be a good score, and we got 2 world-class shapers represented here. We got Jared on the Billy Tolhurst boards, and we got Cole Robbins on the Wayne Rich boards. I mean, these shapers are in demand, as we see the replay of Cole there with the 10. Nice low part of the wave navigated here, and then look at this cutback here, big sweeping roundhouse, looking at that high section there, and then squeezes in this re-entry here, big little snap. And then most surfers would love to just do a little float on that section, but if you did that here, you would absolutely get annihilated because there's no water left.
You lose your fins for a start, and then you might lose some bark or skin. So that was a very good, smart move for Jared Neal of Coffs Harbour to kick out. I mean, look, he surfed a good heat, Jared, with 2 minutes and 24 seconds to go. It's just that 9 that separated both these gentlemen out here. Good performance by both, good respectable score lines, but that 9 has been the significant factor in this heat for Cole, with some great nose riding techniques and a big open face carve to finish. End result was that big 9.
So here we go. This is the replay of the last wave of Cole's there. He sets up the 5, moving super fast. There's that 10, pedaling back. Look at that bowly pocket section here, and then puts that board on rail. That's been his signature roundhouse. He's been really loose on this board. You can see the big concave, big teardrop concave in the nose. That helps kind of cushion water to facilitate the nose rise. Kind of quite flat rocker through the trim line of the board, but a lot of tail kick. That flat rocker looks really nice when he's in trim. That tail kick means that when he's on the nose, working with that teardrop concave, he can really get the hang time. As we have some scores drop, Cole still needing that 8.97 with just over 1 minute 25 seconds remaining. Little set poking up here, Shmoo.
Yeah, this looks like one of the bigger waves of the morning here. Here we go. Cole Robbins. Oh, nice 10 from a 5 back to the 5. And now look at this section. Here we go. Straight up. Nice top. It gets a little hung up there. And he's going to get another big sweeping cutback right over at Coconut here at Coconut Corner. 3 of good variation of maneuvers there from Cole Robbins. And that may replace that 6.8 and put this heat out of range for Jared Neal.
Excellent surfing from Cole. I think it will replace that. Do you think you would have collided with one of those coconuts on that turn? Looked close, just missed it maybe?
I think he just missed it, but he definitely had his eyes on it because, at speed, you hit one of those things and you're more than likely going to be minus a fin. So good surfing there. Look at this replay. Beautiful wave.
Yeah, 4 steps to the nose. Nice soul arch. Very smooth style there. Pedals back to the tail. Didn't get the full 10, but a really good 5. And he's, as you said, a little hung up there, but still stayed always in the pocket. Despite having to kind of really get a bit stuck at the top there, he kept that drive. He kept that determination. He had that resilience. And I'm really impressed with his performance in this heat. It's not easy at this stage in the trip because we're all here camping. We're all kind of living very outdoors. People are starting to come down with stomach bugs. People are feeling tired. We've had the first super early start this morning. But Cole Robbins, he's looking fresh. He's looking alive. He takes the victory. He moves on to round 4. Commiserations to Coffs Coast surfer Jared Neal, but congratulations to Cole.
Yeah, great heat. And that's, there it is, a 7.57 for that last wave. So his score line moves to 16.57. He takes the victory over Jared Neal of Coffs Harbour here at PNG of the Kumul. PNG World Championships of Longboard here in this wonderful country. And on the backside of this break, we'll come back with more live surfing action. Stay with us.
Well, the culture here in Papua New Guinea is that the man is more superior than the woman. In terms of education, it's the man who should get properly educated, whereas when there is opportunity, then women can be educated. Otherwise, the man should be educated first. and in anything that we do. And even in sports like surfing that we've taken up here in this club, when we get boards that are very rare or very scarce in this club that we got going, the boys are being boys. They want to dominate the sport, don't give ladies any opportunities. So we have to come up with ways to try and balance out so that female gender also have equal rights.
Essentially, we've got a massive social issue in Papua New Guinea, and in relation to the issues affecting violence against women and the empowerment of women, and the Surfing Association of Papua New Guinea have addressed this problem by pinking up half of the donated boards that are donated to the Surfing Association of Papua New Guinea to give our female surfers and women in our surfing communities an opportunity to participate in the sport as on an equal footing to our male counterparts.
I feel happy to ride a pink nose because I'm happy that I will be the leader for riding the pink nose. I guess. Thanks.
You do this one, and me and Shannon will come in, and then we'll do that last one.
All right, we are back live here at Tapira Surf Club in Papua New Guinea for the Kumul PNG World Longboard Championships, and heat number 9 is in the water. Edward Del Perro of France up against the American Kevin Scarvna, and Tom Wagner is in the booth now. And as I was saying off camera there, Tom, I'm very jealous because you were up in that chopper this morning. Tell us what you saw. Tell us what's going on in the ocean as well as outside the ocean, of course, in the local communities of what you saw in that helicopter.
Well, first let's talk about the surfing. As I went down the coast, there's numerous waves similar to this, some long lefts, some really long rights, and then some really slabby waves, and nobody else was out on the entire coast. So,
wow.
And they were beautiful waves, beautiful scenery. So there's no shortage of surfing here. If the Papua New Guinea Surfing Association continues on what they're doing with the controlled plan, the organized community-based, community-owned surf camps, this whole system can just expand down the coast, which is really the most unique surfing experience because it's not a for-profit organization. It's all about for the community organization.
Yeah, we look like, well, we'll get back to that as we see Edward Del Perro making a move for this wave here. Elects not to go for it. And what you mentioned there by seeing these uncrowded waves, and there would have been at least a dozen or so, I'm assuming here, and no one out. Where else in the world, outside of a few locations that I can think of, do you see uncrowded, if not empty surf?
I was very few locations, wouldn't you think? Like, maybe if you go to Iceland, you might see the same sort of thing. But here it's tropical, beautiful, clear, crystal clear water. Coconuts falling from the trees. Right there. It's
other things he's.
balls of the trees just where it's naturally environment. So there's certain
join in. They had a brief debate on the shortboard tour about allowing a certain a number of shapers to shape the boards for the guys on tour, and that was quickly dismissed.
Oh, good. Yeah, they could have. That's terrible. Terrible.
I don't even know where that came. It was just one of these vicious rumors that was floating around the shortboard circuit world, maybe 5-6 years ago, and there was no way you can't enforce that. You can't. I think you can't force someone to ride something they don't want to ride or do something they want to do, especially in surfing when it should be open to all kinds of interpretations.
It's an art.
How to get that type of varnish, because you have to import that material to make these boards sealed and not take on water, because you said they're like a sponge.
Yeah.
Talk us through what kind of varnishes that are necessary and needed.
Well, see, balsa is a very, very porous wood. It's like trying to glass a sponge, and so if some varnishes, if you put too much on it, it sinks in and it saturates, and it's just too heavy. Like you just put a whole bunch on there and it goes into the wood and it's just heavy. It's the same with when you're glassing with fiberglass. You have to put a very thin layer of resin over it, maybe 2 thin layers in order to seal it before you actually glass it. Well, we're not going to glass our boards here. We're very limited in the materials we can use. We tried to find every natural way of doing it. Like I tried my linseed solution, and you rub it onto the deck of the board and you turn the board over and it's already soaked all the way through to the bottom of the board. So the wood is that porous. So what we're looking for is a sealant and a varnish. And if anybody knows how to work with very, very porous materials, we'd love input, because here we now have a varnish that's imported, and it's at the right price so that the villages can afford it. But money's pretty scarce here, and we'd love a sponsor to come on board and help us, find just exactly the right varnish and sealers for this wood.
Yeah, and we'll get some details on how they can get a hold of yourself or the Papua New Guinea Surfing Association. As we see, this is a 9-point ride here. This is amazing. He started with an 8, and he's just climbed the ladder with higher 8s and then now into a 9. As we see Kevin Scarvin, he's not giving up, this young man. He's trying his best to accommodate the judges with some big scores, but he's up against the ropes here by this guy from France, Edward Del Perro, really just bringing massive scores to his scoreline. And there's Kevin using his priority, 5 on the nose, going for the cover-up, and he's a little too deep here. So information for, I'm sure there's a brand, a board maker, some type of a company that may want to contribute to the growth of surfing here, especially for the local community. How do they get a hold of yourself, or who do they get a hold of, and how?
Well, probably, I'm easy to find. I'm Tom at TomWegenerSurfboards.com. I mean, I'm the easiest guy, and it would probably be best to come through me with those ideas, because then I can help with Nikki, who's the other people that are running the contest in the resort. They're busy. I mean, my focus is surfboards and varnish for these boards. So probably just contact Tom at TomWegenerSurfboards.com.
There it is, TomWegener.com, surfboards, and he will bring that information to the local community here. And Nikki, who runs the surf camp, I spoke with him the other day. He's a fine young man, doing a great job, very busy.
Yes.
Things are growing here, and that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Growth is always a good problem, as long as you know how to maintain and manage it, right? So as we see Kevin Scarvin here, we got Tom Wegner in the booth, giving us some expert analysis in terms of how this wonderful place called
an early start, that it's just taking a while for everybody to get rolling. But will that have an impact on any of these surfers? Apparently Tony Silvani had a little bit of a rough night last night, didn't he, Shannon?
Oh man, a lot of the surfers kind of coming up with a bit of a stomach bug. Not sure if it's something, maybe they drank some water, even got water in their mouth taking a shower. You never know where those kind of things come from. So quite a few battling with some stomach issues, which is always sad. Great to see a lot of guys with their hydrolyte, drinking heaps of water and just trying to stay really hydrated in these conditions. So Tony, though, he's showing up good. He's got 2 6s on the board now, so a 6.67 and a 6.17. He'll be feeling, in an okay position, although we know the bigger scores are possible. We saw Stevie get an 8 in his heat. We know that Edouard just smashed his previous heat.
2 excellent scores from Edouard, the Frenchman, looking fast, looking furious, looking determined to stay in this event, as we have 24 minutes remaining here in the World Longboard Championships in PNG as we see Ben Skinner surfing against Tony Silvani from the USA in Heat 10. We've got coming up next Matthew Muir from South Africa surfing against another fellow countryman of Ben Skinner, Adam Griffiths from Cornwall, also in the UK. And then Heat 12, Taylor TJ Jensen, 2 times World Longboard Champion, surfing against Konielea Stewart from Hawaii. And then we'll have a heat that's been put on hold. It was scheduled to be Heat 6, but it's going to now be the last heat of this round. It's the reigning world champion from Brazil, Phil Rasman, surfing against Dane Pioli from Australia. Now, Phil had a head injury and an arm injury free surfing last night, and the doctors made a decision to really make sure he was safe to surf, and therefore we reshuffled the schedule so that they surf a little bit later to give the medical team a chance to really assess Phil and make sure he's not being put in risk by surfing out there in the World Longboard Championships. But that is a big blow for Phil to have that nasty wipeout free surfing, Shannon.
Yeah, and it wasn't, he was coming into the keyhole. It wasn't on a big wave. It wasn't kind of a standard. You would think, some of these surfers that are charging huge waves. We know Phil's, he surfed Jaws this winter. He's a very all-around excellent athlete, and he's really at the top of his game. He just won the World Championships. He's refined his surfing to match where the criteria is at now. And to go down just coming through the keyhole, of course, the coral is slippery. There's a lot of factors into it. The water's moving around a lot. So really unfortunate for Phil to have just lost his grip coming in last night and to, hit his head, to tear his bicep. Had a chat with him just now before coming in here, and he's actually got a bandage on his head. He's got his arm taped up, and thankfully we got some physios and a good doctor on site to assess those things. He is definitely going to paddle out. But he didn't seem, to me, he didn't seem worried at all about his head injury. He just was totally cool with that. But he was a bit worried about his arm and whether that would affect his paddling, how much pain he might be in, but he's going to go for it.
So here we have 2 huge names in global longboarding. Ben Skinner from the UK surfing against Tony Silvani from the USA. Tony Silvani sponsored by Bill Stewart Surfboards, Hot Wax Surf Shop, Hangtang Grill, and Coast Walk Real Estate. Ben Skinner, he's a shaper. He has his fantastic Skin Dog surfboards. Gracie, the laminator, if you're listening in, big shout out to Gracie there, one of the best glassers, one of the best team players for a shaper to have on the planet. Fantastic man there, always behind every surfer who orders a board through Skin Dog surfboards. But Ben also sponsored by Reef, Dry Bag, O'Neill Wetsuits, GoPro, Future Fins, Skinner's Brewery, Dragon Europe, and Skin Dog Revolution. He's a local of St Agnes down there in Cornwall in the southwest UK, and I know Tony will also have a massive fan base tuning in North Carolina there. His home break of Hamlet Avenue, Carolina Beach, but his favorite spot is Wilderness in Puerto Rico. Fantastic tropical right-hander there. Tony likes to take trips down to Puerto Rico, a little bit of training, a little bit of tropical weather. He's going to be comfortable on these reefs. Puerto Rico has waves very similar to this wave, so he's going to be at home. He's got those beautiful Stewart longboards. Stewart absorbed a lot of that brilliance from Colin McPhillips, 3 times world longboard champion, and a lot of that is embodied in the surfboards that Tony rides. They're beautiful all-rounders. They're light, they're wide, but Tony really is busy on them. He has a lot of tip time, those 5s, those 10s, that rail work. But Ben Skinner, he's one of the best nose riders. He has a fantastic drop knee turn, very powerful, very focused, very determined. As we see Tony Silvani in blue on the nose. There's the 5, there's the 10. Nice long 10 there from Tony. There's a smaller wave, but look at the speed, shallow over the reef. You can really see how shallow that reef is to be able to taper across that wave. The surfers are riding really deep on the reef here. So, Pression team here bringing the fresh air broadcast in collaboration with the WSL here at the Kumul PNG World Longboard Championships at Tapura, as we have 13 minutes 56 seconds remaining. If you're just tuning in from the USA, your man Tony Silvani is in the lead with a 6.67 and a 6.17, and if you're just tuning in, it's late in the UK, your man Ben Skinner, he needs a 7.01 to move into first position. He's carrying a 5.83 and a 5.57, so it's all to play for here. They're close. There's a lot of there's a lot of tension here because there's not that long left, but there's enough time for both of these surfers to get at least 2 scores in the excellent range. They might completely overwrite both of these scores that they're currently carrying. So they want to stay busy. What they don't want to do is get too deep on the reef. It's very easy when you get caught in the heat of the moment to get a little bit deep. I don't know who's got priority, but Ben Skinner up and riding on the nose. There we go. There's the 5. There's the 10. Beautiful surfing from Skin Dog there into this big speedy section. There's that signature drop knee turn. The power, the the control, Shannon. That was great control. Really precise, wasn't it?
Very precise. Here he goes back for one last tap on the nose. So milking this wave for all that it's worth. Definitely think that's going to move up into possibly his top scores. Excellent bit of rail game on that drop knee cutback.
And a nice, glassy, clean, open section. That wave was a little bit wider, but he was in the right position for it. Some other sets that have come through earlier in this heat, both surfers have been a little bit too deep. But Ben Skinner, he held priority, got himself in the good position there. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the highest scoring wave of the heat so far, because that 10 was very critical. And that drop knee cutback, it was classic, but it was power. It was using all of the board, all of the wave, that lovely fusion of performance and traditional surfing that Ben Skinner embodies. As we see Tony Silvani having a little look at that one, he kicks out. So Ben Skinner looking to drop at least one of those lower scoring fives. Perhaps he might get something that could go into the excellent range here. It's hard for us to say because we're just seeing exactly what you're seeing here. We're not seeing the vision that the judges are seeing. They're sitting further down the reef, looking back up into the wave. As we see scores drop for Tony Silvani, his last good wave came in at a 7.27. So that adds to his 6.67, meaning that Ben now needs an 8.11 to move into first position. But we know we're still awaiting a score to drop for Ben Skinner to replace certainly one of his fives. He's got a 5.83 and a 5.57 with 11 minutes 40 seconds remaining, Shannon. This is a nail biter, as we thought it would be.
It certainly is. Those tight scores, not much dividing the guys, and nothing reaching that excellent range yet. So we'll see if we get one of those sets to come through, if the guys are in the right position to really bring a bigger score to the table. Beautiful scenery that we've got in front of us here. Nice glassy conditions. You can see all those clouds on the horizon. Kind of wonder if we're going to have a storm blowing at some point today.
So we haven't had a heavy rainfall for a few days, but there's been a number of times where we've seen those cumulonimbus storm clouds gathering, and we've all ran back to our tents and battened down the hatches, because when it does rain here, it rains so heavy. And the other day there was a bit of a flood, wasn't there, Shannon?
Oh, there was not just a bit of a flood. It was fairly deep. There's a coral line just underneath the grass, so we've got about a millimeter or two of grass, and then this thick slab of coral, so the water has nowhere to drain to. It's rushing underneath. The girls, our lodging is built up on stilts, these wooden pilings, and so the water was just starting to flow over, and it was getting more and more flooded. Suddenly the surfboards, because a lot of the surfers are storing their boards underneath the house to protect it from the sun and everything, and from people tripping over and whatever. Boards started just flowing away.
Yeah, just floating down.
Just floating down the river towards the reef. So it was quite a scramble on everyone.
And Ned Snow's tent, it got completely flooded there, and he kind of manned up to the occasion, and he dug a trench with a bit of help from the local Papua New Guinean surfers to drain away some of that water. Because, like you said, the topsoil here is on limestone, on coral, and so there's when it does rain heavy, that water doesn't drain anywhere, so it just builds up. As we go, live action, Tony Silvani with priority. He's got a nice silky velvety blue section to paddle into. Look at the line he's taking. He's really setting up his trim lines through his paddle with the 5, with the 10. Long hang 10 from Tony Silvani there. Again, the little fin slide, but those fins re-engage as we get that drop knee turn. He sets up for another 5, pedaling back to the tail. He's going to get a full turn here, little lay back there, bouncing off the foam. He's going to have to kick out very soon. That's shallow. That was an excellent ride from Tony. So Ben Skinner, a smaller wave here, but it might build in size. Here we go. He's paddling into this one. He's going to probably leave that one behind. He knows he's still got priority with 9 minutes 25 seconds remaining. He's still awaiting a score to drop. He's got a 5.87 and a 5.83. So Ben Skinner looking like needing an excellent scoring range to go into first position, as we see that replay of that long hang 10 from Tony Silvani. And see, Shannon, the way those fins, he slid, but he knew when that fin was going to bite. So he's kind of using the fin slide to his advantage. He knows these boards inside out. He works very closely with Bill Stewart, one of the surfing greats in longboarding. You know, a huge contribution to longboard culture globally. But you really sense that he's so comfortable on that board, despite the fin slide. He just knew exactly when those fins would rebite and allow him to accelerate down the face again.
Definitely, and that's the second time we've seen the fin slide in this heat. His first wave had that same one, so it's great to see that he kind of almost loses control, but he knows exactly what's happening. Like you said, he'll know these boards so well. Scores in. Tony Silvani putting an 8-point ride on the board for that last one. Excellent hang 10. Great variety of turns, as well as another hang 5 that he threw in. So I think well rewarded. Ben Skinner now up and riding, going straight to the nose, straight to the 10. Good pedaling back, and going in for that big layback.
Powerful surfing then from Skin Dog there, and you can see all the detritus in the curl as it kind of broke down there, and another layback there. Really good loose lively surfing from Ben Skinner. It was a bowlier one, but he got the 10. He got that big carving layback turn. He got that second layback turn. So good surfing from Ben Skinner, likely to replace one of his 5s. As you see the replay, there's the 5, there's the 10, moves back to the 5. Good footwork there, good control. Here we go. Revving through that turn. I like that. That's good, powerful surfing from Ben Skinner. This is such an incredible heat, but it's just going to go right down to the last seconds. I know it. It could all change in those very last few sets.
It can, and we've seen that happen in heats before. Plenty throughout the week so far. So much debris in the water. There goes Tony Silvani. Great 10.
Beautiful 10 there. He's really leaning over that 10, and look at this section. It's just risen in front of him. So these surfers really using the layback as well. You know, they're both known for their drop knee turns, but what we're seeing is that the variety in their repertoires. And Tony sneaks in a little floater on the edge there. I mean, there's literally no water there. That's high risk surfing to land one more turn. You're threatening board, body, fins. Everything could go horribly wrong in that shallow slab on the inside, as we see Tony Silvani with an 8 and a 7-3 on this replay, Shannon.
Straight to the 10. Nice head over his toes, pedaling back. Beautiful face opening up in front of him, going for that layback, and another big roundhouse cut back into the foam. And here he goes, just looking for that last quick maneuver on the inside section. Very risky to ride it in that shallow, and pulls it off. So big things on the board. Ben Skinner, you can see that frustration. He needs to know what his requirements are. So far, it looks like he needs a 9.46. We're expecting bigger scores to come through for him. Not sure what's happening from the judges' side, but they're definitely keeping busy, and they're trying to get that out to him. He'll be wanting to know all of his requirements, the scores that he needs, the time, if he's got priority.
Excellent set coming in here, but is he in position for it? Is he too deep? It's hard to tell from our camera angle. We're seeing exactly what you're seeing as Ben Skinner. Toes on the nose, a full nice hang 10, arms up in the air. There's that powerful gouging drop knee turn, real good acceleration on that rail game. You're seeing on your screen back home as we get the full 10 from Ben Skinner. But Shannon, look at the power in these turns. Again, acceleration, drive, control, poise, presence. All of those hallmarks of Ben Skinner's surfing on display to work on, but he still needs that 8.70. So 3 minutes, 56 seconds remaining, all to play for, Shannon. Down to the wire as we anticipated.
Down to the wire, and it's really I think priority is going to play a huge role. We've only got 3.5 minutes on the clock. Tony is going to sit so tight, making sure that Ben does not sneak one of those sets if we get another set through. Hasn't been as consistent this morning as what we've seen through the rest of the week. Those sets aren't coming through as quick as before. Still enough time, I think, for one to come through this morning, but we have seen a decrease in swell. Although there's still some solid sets coming through, they're kind of more few and far between.
So just 3 minutes, 20 seconds remaining as we see Tony Silvani in the lead, the surfer from North Carolina in the blue vest, the blue singlet, giving the longboard style to the WSL World Longboard Championship, sponsored by Kumul here in Tapira, the north-facing right Pacific reef break of Papua New Guinea at the Tapira Surf Lodge. We've got so much exciting stuff happening. We got high-end fishing in the background there. Are they getting any fish? I'm not sure, but we're certainly delivering high-end surfing. 2 minutes, 53 seconds remaining as Tony Silvani is in the driving seat, but oh so close it is, because Ben Skinner, he needs an 8.70. He is capable of getting a perfect 10. Tony's going to have to go on this one, which is going to leave space for Ben. So, interesting. Is Tony going to be too deep? Is Ben going to get it? Is Tony going to get it? It's all going to be revealed any second as we see the surfer in blue. Tony Silvani taps to the nose. He's a little bit deep on that one. This is not really going to deliver the score he needs. So it opens up the door for Ben Skinner with priority. He needs to wait for a set, but he can't be oh so patient because he needs to get that 8.71. He's got 2 minutes remaining. So he needs to just hope and pray that Neptune sends a Pacific peeler his way to give him a chance to get that 8.70 and move into first position. I would not want to be in Ben's shoes right now. This is stressful stuff for the 11 times European champion Ben Skinner. But Tony Silvani, he's looking at this set. There's going to be some strategy played out here. Is it worth going for? It's a small one, so they both leave that. Ben Skinner in priority. Tony needing nothing but waiting to see what Ben goes for here, because Ben's got the prime pickings of the next set, and Ben needs that 8.7. That's a lot of pressure, Shannon, in these types of waves. We've had much bigger surf in the previous days. As Ben Skinner paddles for this one, it's a small one. He's going to set up for the nose right there. There's the 5. Is it going to be big enough to really get an 8.7? He's got a long hang 5. See this wave bowling up, is picking up in size. There's a full hang 10. Beautiful surfing in the pocket there from Ben, pedaling back. Great commitment to the footwork. There was no shuffling at all there. He stayed true to that golden rule of walk, don't shuffle, as he gets a little barrel through the inside there on the slab there. So really interesting for the judges to have to deliver the score for this, because there was the 5. He stayed true to that long 5. He got the full 10, and then that wave grew and he got some good rail work as we have 57 seconds remaining as Tony Silvani on the outside there with a big hang 10, Shannon.
Big hang 10 start off with, bites his rail and goes down. You wonder if that had to do with debris, if it had to do with the bump on the water, or if he just simply lost control. We got 40.
Against the regular footer, Adam Bearman Griffiths from Cornwall in the UK. Shannon, John Shamuka's going to be coming into the booth. You'll be back very soon, and we're going to be going to a short break, and then we'll be back for live action from PNG World Longboard Championships.
Well, the culture here in Papua New Guinea is that the man is more superior than the woman. In terms of education, it's the man who should get properly educated, whereas when there is opportunity, then women can be educated. Otherwise, the men should be educated first. And in anything that we do, and even in sports like surfing that we've taken up here in this club, when we get boards that are very rare or very scarce in this club that we got going, the boys are being boys. They want to dominate the sport. Don't give ladies any opportunities. So we have to come up with ways to try and balance out so that the female gender also have equal rights.
Essentially, we've got a massive social issue in Papua New Guinea, and in relation to the issues affecting violence against women and the empowerment of women. And the Surfing Association in Papua New Guinea have addressed this problem by pinking up half of the donated boards that are donated to the Surfing Association in Papua New Guinea to give our female surfers and women in our surfing communities an opportunity to participate in the sport as on an equal footing to our male counterparts.
I feel happy to ride a pink nose because I'm happy that I will be the leader for riding the pink nose, the girls. Thanks.
And welcome back to PNG, where we have live action beaming around the world to all of our awesome viewers. Welcome. This is a Tapira Surf Club. It's a right-hand point break, and we're featuring the world's best surfers, 2 of them, one from Great Britain, one from South Africa. And Adam Griffiths from the UK has opened up with a 5.5, Sam.
Good start for Adam there. Let's see that replay, John Shamuka. Here we go. On the toes on the nose. Nice little toe jam there, little grip in the tip. And then a little fin slide there, but reconnects here with a big sweeping turn there. That's one of Adam's trademark signature power hack turns there. He's a powerful surfer. He's been charging all event. He's been free surfing, pulling in. He hasn't snapped a board. Due respect, because it takes a good line not to snap a board at this wave.
Yes, well, we've seen a few. I think Jack and Twizzle said 10 boards to be total that have been lost to this break. Small days, big days, and of course a lot of bark that's been chewed off people's bodies. I just saw Rachel Tilley there. She cupped one on the hip this morning, so she'd taken some skin off, but had the lime out, and oh man, her whole left side of her body was quivering because it was so painful. But you got to do that to kill that bacteria that can lead to all sorts of problems. So Rachel was in there with some lime.
She used the lime. Did she put the lime in the coconut and drink the bowl up?
She wished she would have done that, but no, she put the lime on the cut and sort of shiggled and wiggled and shivered for about 5 minutes. She was sitting there, and I said, "You'll be fine. Just breathe." It's just excruciating pain, but you got to do it.
Yep, it does sting. So bringing you the live action, we've got MC Shmoo and MC Sam. I'm here from the UK in PNG. John Shamuka from Hawaii, living in Australia. We're commentating live at the World Longboard Championships as we see the Cornishman from the UK, Adam Griffiths, toes on the nose there. There's the 10. Nice 10 from Adam Griffiths there, using the Luke Hart boards. I know that all of his shapers and his fan base will be tuning in at home in Cornwall in the UK at the moment as they see their man, Adam Bearman Griffiths. Toes on the nose again. 10's the number. 10 boards broken, and hang 10s will be the big scores today, Schmoot.
Yeah, definitely. We saw Edward Del Perro. I mean, unbelievable performance from him, and he spent a lot of time with the 10 toes over the nose, and then finished off with some big carves. So 25 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll wait for that second score from Adam Griffiths on his second ride, and we're going to go down the beach with an interview.
Wow. I'm here with Tony Silvani, who just defeated Ben Skinner in a really exciting encounter. Tell us about that heat. I know Ben Skinner's a big draw this early in an event. How are you feeling to come out of that one on top?
I knew it was going to be a tough one. Ben always rips, and it's really the decision on making the right choices of catching the best waves out there. Sometimes you can sit a little bit too far deep and get behind the section, and I'm really liking this wave a lot, and I'm enjoying my time here.
And we know that in China you didn't have a result that you were that happy with. It seems like you're surfing with a bit of extra motivation and intensity, and you really want to do well here.
Yeah, I definitely want to do really well. I've prepared a lot for this event, and I got a really nice Stewart surfboard here, and it's working good under my feet, and I just got to rest up and get ready for the next round.
And the next round's an interesting one to prepare for because it's a three-man battle. Only 2 guys progress to the quarterfinals. What's your plan between now and your next heat, which is going to be an hour or 2 away?
Hydrate for sure, and watch the ocean, look for the best waves, and try and be in good rhythm and tempo whenever I'm out in the heat. It's going to be important because when it gets into the later rounds, everybody's surfing to the highest level, so you have to really perform well.
Okay, go get hydrated and ready for that next heat. Great surfing there, and we'll throw back to you guys in the booth.
Yeah, thanks, Will. And, Tony, no more than 12 hours ago, was in a really bad way. He was very severely dehydrated. He had to go on a drip last night, but the smile says it all. He did everything right to get himself in a position to win that heat, and he went out there with a lot of fight, a lot of heart, and to be as poised as he was, come out with a victory. It's a huge win. It's not just a win, it's a huge win for him.
Yeah, congratulations, Tony Silvani, a very focused competitor. He doesn't like losing. I've seen the impact it has on him when he gets knocked out early, and he doesn't like it. But I like to see that from people. I like to see them here to win, and I think it makes complete sense when people are heartbroken when they get knocked out, because they got that inner burn to win, to be in the final, to raise that trophy. And Ben Skinner, that will be a hard one to lose, because Ben didn't quite get the waves he would have wanted to get. He needed an 8.7 on that dying ride. He gave it everything he could. He got a 6.07. It was really fantastic surfing on that dying wave, but it didn't quite facilitate enough space, enough size, enough room, enough length to allow that score in the excellent range. As we move into the last...
He wants to win this heat against a very informed Taylor Jensen.
Priceless advice there, Shmoo. The psychology of contest surfing, it's not just about equipment, it's not just about waves, it's about what's going on upstairs. And you've had a big role in a lot of surfers around the planet lately. I mean, over the last kind of 15 years, who are some of the surfers that you've worked with as youths?
I've worked with a bunch of surfers, but lately I've been working with Keanu Singh. He won his first World Surf League event over there at the Quicksilver Pro in France. And that was probably a couple of months after we started working together. But, I've given advice, and I'm always happy to give my suggestion. I never tell somebody what to do. I say, this is my advice, because when you start telling people what to do, that means it's as if you're out there doing what I would be doing. Well, they got to do what they need to do. All I can give them is some of my experience, some of my advice, and then they have to go out and action it. With Keanu and so many of these surfers, even on the WLT, Sam, it's between the ears. And when you start second-guessing yourself, you're never going to be successful. You got to back yourself. The board under your feet, never question it. As we see Adam Griffiths up and riding here, he's not questioning his equipment at the moment. He's surfing very well with a good score line. And that's one a friend of mine told me, Nathaniel Curran. He said, the moment you second-guess the equipment that's under your feet, get rid of it. you need to be extremely confident, like Kaniale is with his backup board, as he is with his first choice of surfboards, and that's mental. It's a mental state of mind. So, I've worked with a bunch of people, but it's so much between the ears.
So there we go. Confidence is key. Being present, being tuned in to everything. As we see Matthew Mouse Muir on his Dave Stubbs board. He has a great relationship with Dave Stubbs. Shapes fantastic boards there. Look at this turn. Here we go. This is going to be powerful. There we go. That's signature Mouse there. Really smooth, really fluid. Got that compressed center of gravity, but then uncoils, delivers. He's very fast. Matthew Mouse Muir very nearly won a world title back in 2004. It was a year when Mr. Joel Tudor won in France, Côte de Basque. Huge semi-final went down in long, world-class lefts. Côte de Basque delivered that day between Matthew Mouse Muir and Joel Tudor. It was two goofy footers just exchanging excellent scores, and Matthew was very nearly won that, and you sense that if he beat Joel in that semi, he would have easily won the world title that year. But Joel, he took the win there. But Matthew Mouse Muir, he's been 2 times ISA World Longboard Champion, so he knows how to win, as we see. Interesting information here.
Yeah, I thought there was a big fish swimming.
Okay, so that was, yeah, so there we go. So everything just went on hold because I'm sitting here in the booth, sweating out, chatting away, trying to keep you engaged back home, wherever you are. Shmoo gives this big movement as if something amazing's about to happen, but actually, I got caught out with this earlier as well. It was a floating log, but it looked like a shark fin.
It did. And there's a bunch of little reef sharks around here. In fact, there's one that cruises inside where this white water is breaking on a regular basis.
Jeff, yeah. Crystal met Jeff yesterday because that shark made an appearance.
Oh, yeah, and it sort of chases the fish. It sort of converges the fish into the reef and then eats the fish. It's not here to eat any of the humans, but it's amazing because I've never seen that happen before, where the reef sharks will actually come up really close to the shoreline and sort of hoard the fish, corral the fish, eat the fish, and then go back out to the deeper waters. It's amazing.
I saw that happening yesterday. But these reef sharks here, they got a lot of food on offer, haven't they?
Yeah, they got
thriving. You see fish, jumping birds. The wildlife here is abundant, and that's one of the great assets of this Papua New Guinean coastline is how lush it is.
They could care less about us. They just want the fish. So that's a good thing. I'm happy about that. As you can see this swell, and look at this wind line now. You can see out onto the horizon, Sam. I mean, I know we're going into round 4 from what I'm hearing. That's the official call. But this wind line could become a factor, especially as the conditions have decreased. I don't know what it's going to do to the lineup. It blew pretty hard yesterday for about 3 or 4 hours before it started to subside. So you can see the water texture out the back. Oil glass in here, out the back. There's that texture we talk about. So it'd be interesting to see what happens in these next few heats.
And one of the things that I'm seeing in the heats today is kind of a little bit of hassling, and I think that's not a good thing to get involved with because it's very easy to get out of position today. I think that you need to blank out who you're surfing against and focus on you getting priority and you getting the pick of the waves. But when you have got priority and you're sitting a bit too deep, it's very hard to reposition yourself in a way that it makes it clear to the judges that you're not paddling for a wave. And that's an art that people only get through practice. And there are only 2 events on the longboard tour. So these surfers aren't always surfing using priority systems in their regional tours back home. It's only the WSL events that facilitate that. So a lot of these surfers won't be regularly competing with the priority disc. And it is an art, isn't it, Shmoo?
It is. I mean, there's so many variables with priority, how it can work for you, how it can work against you, how it can be your best friend, how it can be your worst enemy. And this is another point that, because if you lose it, it could cost you the heat. Matthew, last ride game, he needs a 5.44 minutes to go from the U. Adam Griffiths. To see place in the next.
Matthew Mouse Muir's got the highest scoring wave of the heat with that 6.23. So it's all to play for because Matthew only needs.
Definitely. We always talk about working under priority, and are small to medium size for today's conditions that you can get. They're actually 30 meters. Adam is sitting.
You are cross-stepping, it stays out of those toes. If that leash gets tangled up around those toes, it's extremely frustrating, especially when you're in a crunch heat in the World Longboard Championships, as we see a nice oily one maximizing these waves before that onshore wind might pick up a little bit later. Out of priority. Adam Griffiths on a nice one there with that long hang 10 upright, beautiful surfing from Adam, very committed, and the beautiful, powerful re-entry, very vertical, a lot of spray. Already he gets that third turn as well, but already on the 10 and the vertical re-entry, you're thinking that's it, that could be bordering excellent range. Then he backs it up with a full figure of 8 carving roundhouse, an 8.83. As we said, Shmoo, it went into the excellent range. World-class surfing from Griffiths. As we see, Matthew Mouse-Muir goes for the 10, unfortunately falls so deep in the section it didn't facilitate the hold on the 10. That was high-risk surfing, but he knew he needed to go high-risk. Interestingly there, Adam kicks out, probably knew he wasn't going to be able to replace his 6.60, but he's going to be able to get priorities. We see another big set. It just reminds us that there are still sets coming through. It's smaller than it has been, but there are still a lot of waves out there.
Yeah, the swell period hasn't really dropped too much, maybe a second or two, so there's still going to be waves, but the frequency of those big size ones are going to be less, as we saw an 8.83, and again, you know, it was a mistake. Having priority, if you don't manage it properly, obviously Adam saw something Matthew didn't, but they were in the same spot, so that's sort of interesting to me.
Well, I think that other competitors will take note of that score and be reminded that you can get those scores out of priority. I think it's just a reminder to stay lively, stay busy. I mean, I know myself, I love being out of priority because I feel less pressure and then I perform better. In my history of competing, I've always got my best scores out of priority, because it suddenly just puts me in a slightly different place. And obviously you need to use that priority to your advantage. But Adam really demonstrated there that staying busy, having that freedom to roam, gave him the opportunity to spot that was a good scorer. But again, it was all down to that surfing, and it begins with the 10. And I think if you're not even going to find the 10, you almost could kick out. I think if you want to win this event, you've got to find those critical 10s early in the wave.
Yeah, definitely. And that last 8.83 was another good example that we've seen throughout the morning of, you know, being able to reach those high scores, you know, with the 5 that leads to the 10 and then back to the 5, which Adam Griffith did. Then the high-speed top turn into a nice little drop knee cut back. The judges love it.
And you saw Matthew Muir, he went for the 10 on that big wave because he knew he needed to. But it was high-risk surfing. He fell, but it's a reminder that when those 10s are performed, they're high risk. And to make them look effortless is a huge achievement. So Matthew Muir putting it on the line, going for it. He knows he needs that 9.20. So Matthew Mouse Muir, age 39, surfing against Adam Griffiths, age 28, 11 years younger, but currently in the lead with a total heat score now of 15.43. That's a respectable score, but he can't be carrying 6.6 if he wants to advance to a final. You've got to be getting 2 scores in the excellent range to win this. That big sweeping turn there. I like to see the composure that Adam Griffiths demonstrated there when he was sitting out back. He wasn't stressed. You know, he knew that he's being watched. He doesn't need to turn and face the judge's podium for the announcer to remind him of the time. He just had to just raise that arm with that gesture, and to me that looks like a relaxed surfer, and the relaxation there is working in his favor. I like the way he's been composed through this heat. When he's got the waves, he's really cut the mustard. He's delivered the performances. He's got those long hang 10s, and like you say, this is the key relationship with you and your board. He just looks really comfortable with that board under his feet.
Oh, he certainly does. I mean, the scores reflect that, and now you can see him moving over towards where Matthew is. This will be interesting with 30 seconds to go. If it's a 2-wave set, well, Matthew decides not to go for it. Maybe they're a little too deep on that one. If there is another wave and Matthew makes a move for it, Adam will no doubt have no choice but to take the wave. Whoa, no. Oh, he's paddled for it. And there we go. Situation may change here with 12 seconds. If there's another wave here, this could be an opportunity. He needs a big score.
So, blue, Adam Griffiths is going to go for this inside wave. So, is there a wave behind in time for Mouse? But we're counting down there. Nice hang 10 from Adam Griffiths in the lead here. He got that 8.83 and that 6.6. So, fantastic surfing from Adam Griffiths from Newquay in Cornwall. 4th team rider, sponsored by...
Without a backup yet?
Yeah, well, if I was Caniella, I'd be working, you know, hunting the lineup There's a couple of deep ones. In fact, Adam Griffiths against Matthew Moore got one under Matthew's priority. That was just a medium-sized wave, and it was an 8.83.
My goodness.
Yeah, so it was a mistake on Matthew's part to let that one go. He was sitting at the back. He saw, and Adam just sort of played a little bit coy, like, oh, yeah, it's not really a set. It's just one of those medium-sized. As soon as Matthew's back was turned, he pounced.
He
got the wave, and it was unbelievable performance. It was a high-performance wave. Had a nice 5 to a 10, back to a 5, and then a couple of big open-face turns on a medium-sized wave. So if I was Kaniela, I'd be in the back of my mind if one of those medium-sized ones comes through, and they're actually a little bit to the right of where these guys are sitting. They're right in that corner of that nook of the break here at Tapira Surf Club, right just on that break right there. There's corner ones that will reel off, allow for a nice long nose ride, and then a couple of good turns. And you know, an 8.33 wouldn't be out of the question if Kaniela can pick one of those up.
Too true. And there's Owen pointing his camera directly at the drone. It's got a cool angle there. I know Owen was up in the helicopter earlier this morning,
yes.
So he must have gotten some incredible footage.
Well, they were teasing us with one shot when I was in here with Tom Wegner of a left-hand point break that they saw from the helicopter.
Oh, wow.
And then they went back to live surfing, and they just really gave the audience a bit of a tease as well as ourselves. There's one final heat coming up in this round. It will be between Dane Pioli and Phil Rasman, who suffered a pretty gnarly injury yesterday. Any updates on Phil?
He seems to be okay. I was watching him, he's sitting on the sidelines. He had his headphones on. He was definitely getting into the rhythm. I had a chat with him a few heats back just to ask how he was feeling. Says his head, he's not even really...
Last ride, and here's Kaniela working the inside. I think this is where he will be.
On the doorstep.